Hey, what's going on, you guys? Mr. Money1235 here yet again with the final video for my Gorillaz Discography review. I'm finally taking the time to close shop on this thing because as you notice, I've been getting off track talking about other albums, and it's not fair for me to leave this unfinished. So let's talk about The Fall, the really awesome iPad-made Gorillaz album. And I thought while we were here, maybe we could touch down a little bit on Spacemonkeyz as well, the remix album. A group called Spacemonkeyz actually took the debut Gorillaz album and remixed the entire thing and made it a little bit more reggae, Jamaican-inspired, but we'll talk about that in a second. As everybody talked about back in 2010 when this album first came out, this album was made completely on an iPad while Damon was on his 2010 tour with the Gorillaz. There's actually cool little notes inside the case right here that explain where each song was recorded during their tour. For example, I saw the Gorillaz October 8th, 2010 at Madison Square Garden in New York City. And according to the liner notes, the song Hillbilly Man from this album was recorded in New Jersey and Virginia from the 10th to 11th of October. So shortly after my show, Hillbilly Man was recorded for this. I think it's really interesting that they put that in there. Anyway, this album is awesome for what it is. A whole lot of people have really cut down this album just because it doesn't have the sleek production like the rest of their work has. But that's to be expected. This is an album that was made legitly on the road. There was nothing special to be done for it. And honestly, I was really interested to see this side of Gorillaz. It gave them a brand new sound as well, which is also really great to add on to the collection of new sounds that the Gorillaz produce. Some people like it, some people hate it. I think it's awesome. The opening track, Phoner to Arizona, would definitely be my least favorite just because I think it drags on a little bit and there's not too much going on in this track. But I still think the chorus part of this track moves along really nicely with the boodaloop, boodaloop, boodaloop. And I think it fades out nicely to go right into Revolving Doors, which was the main single for this album. And a fan favorite, if I might add. I really love the ukulele on this track. It just caught me the very first time I heard this song. It's just, oh, it's so good. I really love the lyrics on this song as well. I really like how the track moves. I really like the vocal melody. Revolving Doors just gets it right. The song Hillbilly Man is really good too. It starts off this really quiet acoustic guitar, this really catchy melody it has going on with it. And then Damon, you know, he's singing on top of it. It's really tender, it's really nice, and then it just breaks down with these horns, and then it just has this really kind of hip-hop beat almost to it. Then the next song, Detroit, this is a kind of an instrumental piece that just slides right into the next song, Chi-Town, which is a really funky song. I really like the bass line on this song. I really like how down-tempo it is. It matches up a whole lot with the next song on here, Little Pink Plastic Bags, which is actually one of my favorite songs on this album. It's really, really ambient. There's a whole lot of like flying synthesizers in the air. The track feels really free. It feels really big and atmospheric. Just little pink plastic bags rolling on a highway alone. Beautiful. And then things get kicked up a notch on the song The Joplin Spider, which gets this album sounding kind of weird. A lot of people can't stand this song because of how the synthesizers sound and how really aggressive they are. And I can understand why, but at the same time, I love this track. It's one of the weirder songs from Gorillaz, but it's really good. And then we get into another favorite part of the album for me, The Parish of Space Dust and The Snake in Dallas. These two tracks kind of bookend each other in my opinion. The Parish of Space Dust is this really big track all about Texas that fades right into the instrumental track, The Snake in Dallas, which is a really catchy electronic instrumental, and it reminds me a whole lot of like loading screens on Grand Theft Auto games. So that's awesome, especially the next track, Amarillo, which was another single from this album. Revolving Doors and Amarillo were a double A-sided single for this album. And Amarillo, it's just this really emotional, you can really hear it in the voice and in the music. It's almost like Coldplay emotional with what's going on in this track. The track is really big. I really like the sound of the keyboard on here. The effect that they got going on in this track, it sounds really emotional. It's just a really good track. The next song, Aspen Forest, is another favorite instrumental of mine. I really like the water sound effects at the beginning of it, and I really like the really catchy bob your head melody to it, and then I really like the foreign sounding instrument in the fade out of the track. It's just really good. Aspen Forest is another one of my favorite songs from this album. We also have the next song, Bobby and Phoenix, on here, which is just Bobby Womack singing to an acoustic guitar, and it sounds awesome. Bobby's vocals sound great on here, and it kind of matches up with other Gorillaz acoustic songs like 1-2-D3 in my opinion. California and the Slipping of the Sun is kind of the outro track on here, and that's really, I think, all it was made to be. It really has this cool, like, train, like they're traveling by train. It has the sound effects of that in the beginning. And if you want to count Seattle Yodel as the last song, it's just the yodeling pickle played over and over again and overdubbed for about 40 seconds. But hey, it's cool that they included it on there. So while I can't recommend The Fall to everybody, if you're a hardcore Gorillaz fan like me, you will probably enjoy it. So that's my take on that. Now let's talk about Spacemonkeyz a little bit. Like I said before, a group called Spacemonkeyz just took the debut album and remixed almost all the tracks on it. While I can't recommend the entire album, because I feel like a few of the songs are just get a little boring and a little bit repetitive after a while, there are a few songs on this album that I play regularly. The opening 19 through 2000 reggae remix on here, it just sounds really good. I really like the horns in this track, the really reggae guitar in there. Really chill. This is a very beachy sounding song and you just want to lay out in the sunshine. A large majority of this album is like that. Same thing with the slow country remix. The next song on this album, that one too, man, it's just really good. I'll just name off a few of my favorites here. Tomorrow Comes Today remix, the Man Research remix, the Rehash remix, the Clint Eastwood remix, and the M1A1 remix. Those right there would actually be my favorite songs on this album. As you can tell, I left out a big chunk. I mean, they just butcher some of the songs so much that it just doesn't sound like them anymore. Like, they'll have like the chorus of a certain song, and then it'll sound something totally different from the rest of the song. And I don't really like how they butchered the original songs. I mean, I guess it's just because I'm biased to liking the debut album a whole lot more than I am a whole bunch of remixes of it. But I own it. I mean, you know, there's a few songs on here that I like. I just cherry-picked them from this thing. And I think that's okay, because not everybody is going to like all of the Gorillaz remixes. I mean, it's just not going to happen. So yeah, if you're into reggae, if you're into dubby music, if you're into really big bass sound, you need to check this out, because there are huge bass on here. If you have subwoofers in your car, that thing will be bouncing it. So there you go. All the Gorillaz studio albums talked about. I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll be back soon with another Q&A and even more reviews. Mr. Money 1235, I will see you guys later. Thank you for subscribing.